right. Thanks for joining me. We got a big blowout here in the Russell. And the last time we got together, I gave you on YouTube, and I got my rally cap. That's a Cubs hat, by the way, old Chicago guy. We got on YouTube, we talked about the Russell breaking out, the election type trade, right? And I said it would be probably led by this sector right here, which is regional banks. This is Huntington Bank shares, HBAN. And quite frankly, that was it. That's the kind of the Trump trade, the long forgotten regional bank sector. The KRE is the subsector industry group, you want to call it. And it had a nice little breakout. You can kind of see if I drew a trend line from here to there and I drew a trend line down, you'd see that rising compression wedge pattern, and it broke out. So if we go over and look at the Russell, IWM, and you'll see there's the breakout. So the question is that you may want to know, is there more left to the upside out of the Russell this year? And my analysis suggests, yes, there is. Let's take a look at this weekly chart. And now that we have a friendly Fed, the Fed cut rates today a 1/4 point. So we have possible new stimulus coming in the terms of a new election of a one-party run country, or bureaucracy, let's call it, not democracy. The White House will be Republican. The Senate's Republican. Now, I don't know about the House. I don't think it's completely been determined who's in control of the House, but that makes it 3 branches of the legislation, Congress, Senate, White House, passes. That means President Trump gets to sign those tax cuts and get those back in. The market's going to like it. Now, all the CEOs, your Tim Cooks, your Jamie Dimon, all the big head honchos are going, we don't like Trump. That's great. But you know what? They all want lower taxes for their income. Everyone likes to make money, A. B, less regulation. And people like that too. So they may say one thing, but what they really like is what could come out of that. And that's why I think the Russell, and we go over here and we'll look at a monthly chart. People may not remember 244. We haven't seen that high since 21. Now we have more stimulus in the economy. We have more domestic potential stimulus coming in the economy, and the Federal Reserve lowering interest rates. That means that there's more upside. So how do you take advantage of it? I've got a little bit of exposure left, and let me just go over here with IWM. And this is a position that I had mentioned the other day. We had a lot of exposure. I just want everyone to know, I did take some profits on some options. We said definitely take some money off the table here. We did that yesterday, and I'm rolling out from December spreads. And if you heard on the video, I said, hey, you may want to do something like the 220s, the 225, 228s, up to the 240s. Now I'm rolling into January. You can see the spread. It's right here, 228, 245. Because I think that we're going to get by now, and let's call it, I'm going to have to go the January effect all the way into possibly looking at January. I wouldn't rule out a 250, 257 breakout. So I wouldn't look and expect much of a pullback in the weeks to come. I don't know what would be the catalyst to get you that pullback, but generally markets break out. There's a small little pullback. Don't be afraid of on pullbacks. And I would have to say, I don't know, we could get to 230, 231. It's probably, let's go over and get this back to a daily chart, and I'll get this better focused for you. So I don't think we fill the gap entirely, but perhaps we come back, that's like 231-ish. And if we test the low of the move, 232, 231, if we can get that pullback over the next couple days or into next week, that might be an important break to buy into the January call options for IWM. So I just thought I'd throw that one out there. Another stock that I'm, as you can probably see here, is a couple positions on. Another thing that I think you would want to see would be, I hear from Palantir, AI's making us money. We had TWLO, TWLO with great earnings results. TWLO, this will take a second to populate. There's a breakout in TWLO. They're a software company for call centers, and they have artificial intelligence to actually take over conversations. So you may think you're talking to a customer service, And quite frankly, you're not going to be talking. You're talking to an AI customer service. So Twilio was one of the other software companies that's benefiting from AI. I'm not advocating to buy that. I'm just saying between Palantir, Twilio, there's a common denominator that software companies are starting to make money. And they're also saying they're still investing in the ability for expanding that artificial intelligence. And so that's why we have NVIDIA being added. NVIDIA is NVDA. NVIDIA's taken off. Let's get that back up. NVDA, come on. Time's a wasting. NVIDIA broke out and had another new high. And not just an election high, but also a high because it's getting added to the Dow. Now, this is almost a household name, and almost every institution owns this. So what's the gig? How much higher can NVIDIA go? Quite frankly, I think NVIDIA is probably getting closer to its rally is losing a little bit of steam. And I'll get myself out of the way for you guys, but look at this momentum of my volume indicator here. And I got news for you. That's kind of setting up as a little divergence. They do have a competitor. It's a company called AMD. And AMD formed at what we call a daily high close doji. This is a specific candle pattern that I wrote about in my first or second book back in 2004. I'm looking up at a bookshelf that you can't see here. But it also has that little arrow. And many of you that use Thinkorswim through Charles Schwab know that's a PPS buy signal. They're pretty reliable. But volume looks pretty decent as far as a convergence, meaning lower price and volume action is giving me kind of like a double bottom pattern here. So my 2 cents is we've got upside potential out of AMD. There's one I think you could also look at, maybe some spreads if you're interested in options to reduce your cost basis instead of buying the stock. I think you got to go out to January because I really don't know what's going to happen between now and December. You got, one thing about AMD, if we go back and look at the charts, this is amazing. You may not realize this. It's almost break even for the year. So it started the year off right around 148. It's at 149.82. So for the most part, anyone that's underwater on this trade may sell if they haven't already. They may sell for tax loss harvesting. So if we go back and we look at the year, where did it start? Here's the year. You can clearly see we started the year, we're unchanged. This whole thing about AI and AMD of all companies, unchanged on the year. So it's probably getting ready for an end of the year breakout rally, or at least into the first 2 weeks of January. So there's an old analysis about seasonality, and it's the, of course, Santa Claus rally, which was one that was identified as a pattern by Yale Hirsch of Stock Traders Almanac. And then you have the first 5 days of the year, and then the trifecta would be as January, so goes the rest of the year. So the bottom line is I think we're going to see some follow-through upside potential, and AMD certainly has that catalyst behind it, not only seasonality, but it's the epicenter of AI. So I would be looking at any follow-through tomorrow. We got on Friday some decent volume to the upside, a good PPS buy signal. And I would have to say like 155 to 175, something like that. If you want to do a call spread to knock down the expense of that option, go out to the January 17th expiration for some option trades there. There's some other names that I like going forward. Zscaler. That one also looks like it's getting primed for a little bit of an upside. I gave you guys the other day in the a video, I said box. You may want to look at box. Well, it's not a home run, but it's certainly, since I gave the video out from 32 to 33, 34, it's a nice almost 5% upside today alone. Didn't really do much, but it had some great follow through, giving you a chance to get in. Now, maybe you didn't do it because, again, election risk. I get that, but we definitely had some decent analysis out there, and I'll continue to provide you with some good insights. Today, we walk away with knowing that there's some upside and lag in AMD. Another one is FSLY, Fastly. Now, this one's kind of interesting because it had great earnings, popped open, closed lower. Most people would say it's a failed rally and it stinks. Okay, I won't take that away from you. But DASH, look at Dash, had an earnings, popped, flopped, another failed rally, but look what it did. a delayed reaction and continued the trend higher. That's DoorDash. Now, two different segments of the marketplace, but the point is, the pattern is head fakes, delayed reaction. Watch Fastly to see if we get another upside. Another trade that I gave while we were in Asia, and I did the video updates before, you maybe remember I was talking about this, I was talking about Wolf and how you might have missed Wolf in cryptocurrency. And then I said, well, you know, we got a position in Riot. And I said, look at Riot. And I went on too much of a tangent about Riot. Well, I don't want to say that I gave too much of a tangent on Riot, but the bottom line is higher lows. Sometimes people look for a trend to develop by higher lows and higher highs. And the real secret is maybe it's just higher lows and you get another delayed reaction. So right ahead of the earnings, it did a dump and then a ghastly pump. And just anyone that may have like shed their positions probably regretting that. So you got to look at higher time frame analysis sometimes to see what the true trend is. Look at that momentum of volume. Market's going sideways. Volume is leading that trade. And that's why we stuck with Riot, by the way. So if you want to learn more about what I do and how I use these indicators that we have not only on TradeStation, which this is, but also how we put together our trading plans and put trades together like I just shared with you, and what I'm doing in other trades like AMD, by the way, tune in for more. If you like what you see, give a thumbs up. And also you can always subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I'll get out more information to you guys in the days and weeks ahead. I hope you had a great week so far. That Russell was a fabulous trade, man. That was a nice trade. Enjoy, everybody, and we'll see you on the next video update. Thank you.